Hello, Keith Rucker here at VintageMachinery.org. Hey guys, we're going to put together an odds and ends video for you this week, and I've got some viewer mail that's starting to pile up over here we need to get worked through, and I got a couple of things I want to share with you about the shop. This being Christmas break, I've had some time off from work, and while I've been doing a few projects out here, I've also been doing some stuff I've been needing to do to the shop. Just some storage and organization things more than anything else. Just trying to get things, continuing to get things better organized in here, where when I need something, I go put my hands on it. So I'm going to share some of that stuff with you. We got a couple of new additions as far as new items for the shop as well. Some things that I've picked up and purchased. And anyway, we're going to go through all that kind of good stuff today. So let's start with some viewer mail. We'll get zoomed in here and get going. So first item here is a book that came in. This is from Mike Farrell. Mike is up in the Nashville, Tennessee area, and he had contacted me a while back, told me he had a book he wanted to send me. This is something from his library on cabinet making and millwork. And I just thumbed through it a little while ago. It looks like it's got a lot of really good, woodworking type information in here. About all kinds of machinery and techniques and what have you. So I'm looking forward to getting a chance to look through this. In fact, I'm thumbing through it. I'm sitting here like, oh, that's cool. I need to go back and look at that. So there's some projects in here and what have you. So anyway, thank you very much, Mike, for sending that along. I will definitely add that to my library, and looks like a lot of good information in there. And Mike is actually also involved in a project up in the Nashville area that's kind of cool. So he is involved with this organization that's just really kind of starting to restore an antique steam locomotive. And this is a locomotive that was up in that Nashville area. I think it was built in 1941, if I remember my history right, and they was used on the railroad up until the early 1950s, when of course the diesel locomotives kind of replaced it. And at that time it got put into a park up in the Nashville, Tennessee area, and it's just been on public display ever since. Well, there's an effort going on right now. They're in the process of restoring this. They've just had a big fundraising campaign, of come up with some funds. In fact, here in the next week or so, they're going to be moving the locomotive from the park where it's been on static display to another location not too terribly far away in the Nashville area, where they're going to actually start working on restoring this. And of course, the goal is to get this thing up and operational, where they can have it out on steam excursions and what have you in the area. And so anyway, I thought that was really cool that he's involved with this project and helping with it. And in fact, he told me whenever he was sending the book, he was talking to the gentleman who's kind of, I think, I'm not sure exactly what his title is, but he's also involved with the restoration process. In fact, I think he's kind of the person that's kind of overseeing a lot of that restoration work. His name was Jeff Bresendine, I believe is how you say his name. And turns out Jeff also watches my YouTube channel and said, well, before you send that, I want to send something along too. So Jeff threw in a nice little hat here with the locomotive number on there. And anyway, that's kind of cool. And I've been talking with him a little bit. I'm going to try to maybe make a trip up to the Nashville area maybe this spring, once they kind of get the locomotive in there, and maybe do a video or two about the project and showing the locomotive. Who knows, we may even get into a little collaborative project or something and maybe try to help them out with something on the restoration project. Really cool project. You guys know I love steam locomotives and anything steam, and anyway, I applaud them for going through the effort to try to get this thing restored, and thanks a lot for the hat. That's pretty cool. Up next here, we got some more books, I guess you'd say. These are actually some manuals and so forth for some machinery, and most of this stuff probably end up getting scanned and put up on my website at VintageMachinery.org, where we have lots of manuals and all kinds of documentation for all kinds of vintage machinery. And anyway, Guy Lopes out in California sent this in, and he was kind enough to just basically donate them to the cause here. So got some turret lathe material here. This is Warner Swayze. My first job in a machine shop back in the late 1980s was running a turret lathe. In fact, it was a Warner Swayze turret lathe. Or what we had about 3 Warner Swayze. I think we had a Gisholt in the shop too, if I remember right. But Warner Swayzes were the main ones that we ran. So a lot of these tools look familiar to me. I used a lot of them back in those days. But anyway, got that. We got a turret lathe operator's manual here. And this one here is also Warner Swayze. Let's see. Know your turret lathe. So another manual and so forth on using them. Service manual, this is for a Warner Swayze number 3, 4, and 5. And those were the sizes that I ran. I remember we had a number 3, I think was the main one that I ran. But if I remember right, it's been a long time ago. But anyway, got some service manuals here. And a 3A turret lathe. We had a 2A turret lathe, which was a gigantic machine. I think the thing weighed like 20,000 pounds or something, if I remember right. I'm guessing the 3A was probably the size larger than that one. Anyway, cool stuff. And we will definitely, I'll put this in the stack and hopefully get this stuff scanned. I've actually got a good bit of Warner Swayze stuff that's in the pile right now needing to get done. So I will add this to the pile and hopefully we'll get that uploaded to the Vintage Machinery site very soon. And Guy, thanks for sending those along. Not really viewer mail here per se, but I got some indicators back that I had sent up to my buddy Mark Rotowski at MR Tool Repair. And Mark does all kinds of tool repairs, calibrations, whatever, for all types of machinery tool or machine shop typing tools, what have you. But I had sent these up to him a while back, and he went through them, basically got them all restored. Some of these were in pretty rough condition when I sent them to him. Wasn't even operational. A few of them were just kind of sticky and old or needed new crystals put on them. But when Mark gets these, he basically takes them apart, goes through them, cleans them up, repairs anything that needs to be repaired. He's got replacement parts for a lot of this stuff, and sends them back. And when he sends them back, man, they're nearly just about like brand spanking new. And he does a great job, very reasonably priced. And anyway, if you got anything like that, you need to send him. There's his card on how to get a hold of him. This one up here is a bore gauge for like if you wanted to go down into a cylinder in a car or any type of bore or whatever. This was more for, you would calibrate it to a particular size. So if you were doing inspection work, not so much measuring something per se, but you would have this set to where 0 was a particular measurement and you could use it to go in there and indicate with. I picked up a whole bunch of these in different sizes a while back, and every one of them needed work, so I'll probably be sending some up to them along. This one here, I actually used this one just the other day, just got it back, but this long stem is really helpful if you ever need to get into someplace tight. And I was working on indicating something in and kind of had to get back behind something, didn't have a lot of room. And I went and pulled this one out of the box. So I've actually already used it on a job. Hadn't even been in here hardly at all. Really handy. And I've got a few more of these that have different links on them that I need to send up and have them do. This is another one that I recently picked up a couple of these Federals. And they're a back plunge. I didn't have any exactly like this. So anyway, I thought that was kind of cool. So anyway, he went through and restored a couple of those for me as well. So some more indicators indicators to put in my collection over here, and you just can't seem to have too many of these things, particularly some of these different types. I got some unique ones in this lot that you just are handy to have around. So anyway, thank you, Mark, for getting those back to me, and I'm gonna probably be packing some more up to you and sending you another batch. I've picked up a few more I need to send in to get worked on. So next we got some horizontal milling cutters and tooling here. This comes from Wally Garrick, who's down in the Tampa, Florida area. And Wally actually contacted me a while back, told me he had some horizontal milling tooling. He had a little small horizontal mill that he bought that he uses in his home shop, and I think he got some lots of cutters here, and some of the stuff was just bigger than what his machine could handle, and he was kind enough to pass them along to me. He was going to ship all this stuff up to me, and I said, well, you know, I'm going to be down in Tampa over the Christmas time. I got to make a run down there for some stuff. And so when I was down there this last week, I actually stopped by his shop and had a chance to visit with him, and see, he had got a really nice little shop set up there in his garage at his house. Wally's retired from the military and just kind of piddles in the shop these days. But anyway, had a really nice little setup out there. It had some nice tools and machinery, what have you, but this was some stuff that he just couldn't use, again, because it was just too big for the tooling that he has. So got some really nice horizontal cutters here. There's 3 of them here. I got them, I didn't unwrap all of them because they were wrapped up. These things are really, really sharp. These spiral mills here, these things right here are just razor sharp. So anyway, I'm gonna put all these up in my cabinet here. And you know, it's like I told him, this kind of stuff, you know, you never know what you need in horizontal mill cutters until you need it. And so anytime I can pick stuff up, you know, for relatively cheap or what have you, I just get it and store it and have it available. And then when I go do a job, if I'm lucky and I'm fortunate, I've got the cutters that I need to do it. And that's kind of my game plan here. He also gave me these. These are really kind of cool. So, of course, it's a T-nut that goes up in like a milling machine or what have you. But on the top here, it's got these little hex pieces. But this is on an eccentric. If you look, the center of that screw is it's on like a cam, so you can turn these and it tightens it up. So if you had like a block of steel and you wanted to pinch them between these two things, get them from the side or from the ends, you could basically put these in there, tighten them up, and they just squeeze right together to hold a piece in the milling machine, which I think is really neat. And again, he didn't have anything with a T-slot that big in it, but my milling machine will take them. So anyway, thanks a lot, Wally. I really enjoyed getting a chance to stop by and visit. It was a very brief visit. I had about 3 or 4 stops I was making that day, and trying to make a round trip all in one day. It was a really long day on the road that day, but we were able to stop by and visit for a little while. So thanks, Wally, for this. I'm going to go put this up in my tooling cabinet, and we'll have it when we need it. And speaking of tooling cabinets, this is one of my shop improvements that I've been working on over the Christmas holidays. I shared in a video a while back, I was able to pick up several cabinets like this a month or so ago, and I've managed to get one of them. I've kind of gone through it. We cleaned it up, repainted it. You know, I just did some maintenance that needed to be done to these things. All of them had a few little issues that needed a little bit of work. And this one here is a Stanley Vidmar, and I've specifically wanted this one to put tooling in. And so now I've got this thing set up. I got pretty much all of my horizontal milling cutters are in this cabinet. I think I'm using 5 drawers for horizontal mill cutters. I've still got 4 more drawers up top, and I'm gonna probably put vertical milling machine cutters and stuff in here as well, and have a cabinet just strictly dedicated to milling machine tooling. And I got it sitting right here between my 2 mills, so it's real convenient for me to just come over here and grab stuff. So I'll come over here and kind of give you a peek inside some of these drawers. I've still got a little bit of organizing to do, but I got things pretty well separated out right now, which is the first time I've had all of my cutters in one place where I can easily go find something when I need it. So let me show you that. So the bottom drawer down here is pretty well dedicated to slab mills and shell mills, and kind of got everything in here somewhat organized by size, what have you. And anyway, again, now I can go grab this stuff pretty easily and find what I'm looking for. We'll move up to the next drawer. So this drawer is pretty well dedicated to wheel cutters, and these are my larger diameter stuff. And I really need to go through here and do some further sorting and get them kind of by size. And a lot of these are regrinds, so they're not all nominal sizes. Most of them are marked what they are, but I still need to do a little bit more organizing in here. But these were big enough in diameter that I really couldn't turn them up on the ends and stack them in there, so I had to put them in there this way. But larger diameter wheel cutters. This drawer is pretty well dedicated to wheel cutters and nominal sizes, so these would be for like cutting keyways and so forth, and I have them separated here by the width of the cutter, and got them by 1/16 of an inch. I got a couple of sizes that I don't have any, 13/16, 15/16, kind of oddball stuff, but most of them actually have several of them, probably too many of some of these. I probably need to thin these out, honestly, but anyway, nice little collection here. And these are the ones, I use these quite a bit, mostly for cutting keyways, so it's really easy, real convenient for me to just run over here, pull one out, grab it, and be able to go to town and do what I need to do with it. This drawer here is dedicated pretty much strictly to gear cutting tooling, so these are all gear cutters. And I honestly, when I got them all together, I had more than I realized that I had. I had stuff stacked in several different places, stashed away here and there. And I went in and got all these organized by the pitch. And then also there's some of these are involute cutters, some of these are bevel cutters. I got them separated out by that. And there's actually 8 cutters to make a set for each diametral pitch. And of course, there's bunches and bunches of different pitches. So I don't have, a complete set of every one, but I've got a good representation here. And while I had it and was kind of getting everything organized, I made a nice inventory sheet here so that when I need a particular cutter, I'm just going to keep this in the drawer and update it as needed, but I've got pretty well marked as to what I have on hand. So if I get a gear cutting job come in, I can easily go look on that and look at it. Of course, that's an Excel spreadsheet as well, so I got it on my computer and I can update it as necessary. I've actually got a pretty good collection of the larger cutters. The ones I probably use the most are like pitch 12, 14, 16, 18 in those ranges. And I've got some holes in those particular ranges of cutters. Seems like every time I go to do a job, it's for a cutter that I don't have, and I have to go find one. But I've actually got a pretty good collection. I'm pretty happy with there. And everything's nice and organized. Now I can go put my hands on stuff very easily when I need to. This drawer here is just kind of miscellaneous, kind of custom or unusual cutters, maybe not unusual, but specialty cutters. So I got some, cove cutters here for doing a half circle. There's all kinds of different things. Here's some for doing a nose. These are splines, so these have these are different angles, different like dovetail cutters. These are all different angles in here. These are like for cutting splines. So again, they have different angles in there. Just on and on and on, a whole lot of different things in here, various types for different stuff. These are all metric up here, by the way. I didn't even realize I had any metric cutters until I started going through and looking at what I had. But anyway, all kinds of interesting stuff in here. So again, bottom 5 drawers horizontal, top 4 drawers are going to be dedicated to vertical cutters, and I need to get this stuff. It's mostly be like big end mills and specialty stuff, what have you. I've got most of the stuff is over in other cabinets and so forth. So I'm going to be moving it over here, which will free me up some more space in some other cabinets so that I can get some other things organized over there. Just kind of shuffling things around, and I'm really enjoying getting my stuff organized. I'm all about being able to go put my hands on something when I need it, and like I know I've got that, but I can't find it. Drives me batty. So really happy to have these cabinets, and I got 2 more that I need to do, and those are probably going to be more for putting hardware and stuff like that in. Anyway, I've got a plan for those as well, but I've got to find the time to get them cleaned up, painted, and reworked on those. I'm wanting to get some new drawer pulls for these. I think I can order these from Stanley. I got to give them a call and get them ordered, but some of them aren't that bad, but some of the ones on the bottom looks like they've been ran into the forklift or something. I don't know. They're all beat up, so I think I'm just going to replace all of these and get it looking nice. They're not too terribly expensive to get new ones. Several of them are missing the end caps and what have you, so that'll kind of dress it up some more as well. But excited about my cabinets. Got some more books here, actually some catalogs and what have you, and this is kind of cool. This is actually a local guy that I know, Jason Upshaw. His family owns T&S Electric, which is a local motor shop, and I've used their services many times over the years. And anyway, Jason gave me a call over the holidays and said hey, they were cleaning out some stuff at the motor shop, and they found these old catalogs and books and wanted to know if I wanted them. And I said, absolutely. And he said, yeah, he knew exactly where these had come from. At some time, a long time ago, his dad had bought out another motor shop in town when they were closing down. I think the guy was retiring, Towson Electric, and these were some stuff that was there in that shop, and they moved him to his shop, and they've just been taking up room. Says, we don't need this stuff. So we got one on here for arc welding. This is just a manual. This is by Hobart. And I don't think I saw a date on this one, but pretty old. Most of the stuff dates from the late 20s, or late 30s rather, I think. So this was a Star concrete drilling tooling. So this one here, I was really excited. This is Miller's Falls. So Miller's Falls was a manufacturer of all kinds of hand tools. They made woodworking and metalworking stuff. So they, probably better known for their woodworking tools. They actually have some machinist tools that they make as well. And really cool. This catalog was dated 1928 or 38, I think it was. Yeah, 1938. And then also the Sterrett catalog, and same thing. This was dated 1938 as well. So really cool old Sterrett catalog. So anyway, appreciate that, Jason. It was kind of funny. He was trying to text me, and I never replied. And evidently he had the wrong phone number in his phone. He finally texted my wife and says, hey, if your husband doesn't let me know about his books, I'm going to throw them away. And I'm like, what books? And I called him up, and I was in town. And he was in town. He had his stuff with him. We actually met up right there, and he handed them off to me. So it was kind of fun. I've been enjoying going through and looking at these. Next items here come from Joe Way, and Joe is out in Quincy, California, and Joe had contacted me again. He had some old books he wanted to send. These are cool. These are Audell's books, and if you guys are not familiar with Audell's, they had a whole series of kind of instruction manuals, home learning, whatever, from back in the 20s, 30s, 40s, etc. So if you wanted to learn a trade, you could basically order these books, and it was basically a self-taught course that you could take going through this book. So they have a lot of technical information in them, whatever. So this one here is on Audell's Mathematics and Calculations for Mechanics. So kind of a shop math class or course here in shop math, which is always handy to have around. This one here, I know it's hard to read this black on black, but this is the Machinist and Toolmaker's Handy Book. I've got a couple of machinist guides from Audell's, but I don't have this particular one. So, these things are really good. They're really good books to just learn from and look stuff up in if you're trying to figure out how to do something. So a lot of really good information in here. And over here we have Audell's Engineers and Mechanics Guides, questions and answers and illustrations. So this is kind of a lot of this is for steam engineers and so forth when you're working on the railroad or working in steam engineering. To be certified as a steam engineer back in the day, you were basically an engineer in the sense of being a mechanical engineer. You were a steam engineer, but most guys who are engineers never went to college. They learned it on the job. But in order to be certified, you had to go through a test. And a lot of times it was an oral test. It was a catechism kind of thing. You basically had to just commit to memory all kinds of questions, answers to different questions. And these books here kind of help prepare for that. And it's not only just giving you the answers, but it's telling you, giving you the information, the background information on it as well. But then they have a bunch of questions and answers that are in here as well. So this is a couple of different, this one is guide 4, this one's guide 5. So evidently there was a series of these. And I've got some engineering books. I don't think I've got these. I'll have to look. The other thing that Joe did for me though too that's kind of cool is he made this little piece for me right here. And if you remember, I had a video not too terribly long ago, and I had an issue. I was needing to broach a keyway. I was needing to broach a 5/16 inch keyway using a broach, and the only 5/16 broach that I had was this small one here, and this is what's a B size. You can see it's fairly thin, and but the broach bushing that I had for a 1-inch hole took a C size broach, which you can see is a much wider back that fit down in here. Now that the broach part was that same diameter there that fits in this one. And he had made some of these for himself, and he actually made this for me. So this is an adapter. Basically you can drop it right in there, and now I can run a B broach and a C bushing. So anyway, this was kind of neat. I'm going to add this to my collection now, put this over in my broach tool, so next time if I ever run into that situation again, I can just drop this little piece right here in, and I'll be in good shape. As it turned out, I had already found me a C-size broach and had one ordered and on the way before he told me about this one, and the new one came before this one, so I've already got the job broached using the other one, but that's a really handy thing, and like I said, he just made it himself. I don't think you can buy one of those. I've never seen one for sale, but pretty cool. And Joe also, he told me he's got a YouTube video up on this, and I will put a link to that. So if you want to see him making that, you can go watch his YouTube video, and I'll put a link here on the screen as well as down in my description on this, so you can click on that and go take a look at it. And he sent along a couple of decals too for his Sierra Specialty Auto, which is his business that he's in. So here's a new toy I picked up for the shop. I'll show you guys this right here. This is the reason I went down to the Tampa area. I had found this a while back, and just hadn't been able to go down there and pick it up until now. But picked this up from a gentleman down there, and what this is this is a universal table for a radial arm drill. You see my radial drill back here. And this table here will replace the one that I have on my Carlton right now. You can see the one back there now. It's just a 90-degree table. This one's a 90-degree table too, but as you can see by the funny angle, it tilts and rotates. So if you got a funny angle that you need to drill a hole at, you can just rotate the table. It has a scale on there to look at your angle on and bolt it down to there and drill it. It also has it rotates 180 degrees in there, so you can turn the column around and spin around whatever direction you need to. So I was pretty happy to find this one. This one here is a little bit bigger than the other one, which I'm kind of excited about. The table that's on there is just a little bit low. It seems like every time I'm having to bend over to do anything on it. And I think with this one, it's really going to be a little bit nicer height for me as well. So this one's going to be a restoration project. It's got a few issues that I'm aware of, and we'll be doing a series of videos on this at some point in time, taking it apart, doing some repairs, getting it ready to go over here on the radial drill. And yes, I posted on Facebook, and I must have had 400 people respond. Hey, Adam Booth has got a Carlton Radial Drill, and he needs a table for his. Yeah, guys, I know. I actually helped Adam find his radial drill. I kind of gave him the lead on that, so I knew it was missing a table, and we've already talked. And this one over here is actually going to be going to Adam. He's going to be using that on his radial drill, and that one there, as far as I know, is the original Carlton radial drill table. And of course, the radial drill that Adam Booth picked up is pretty much identical to mine. It's the same model, same size. There are a few little differences, I think, just from the age difference between the two. But for all in all purposes, his is the exact same model as the one I have. So that table will be going to Adam, and he'll have a nice actual Carlton radial drill table to go on his radial drill as well. So looking forward to doing this, and I think it's going to be a fun little project. It's not overly complicated like some things I get into, although it's got one fairly major repair, and I'm not going to go into that right now. We'll do that in a video down the road. But anyway, glad to have this in the shop. So here's another item I thought I'd show you guys. This is not actually a new acquisition. Neither one of these anvils are new. I've had both of them for a long, long time, but I know I've shared the small anvil before. This one belonged to my great-grandfather. It's a 77-pound Swedish anvil, and it was a Christmas present from my grandmother back when I was a freshman in high school, and I was actually learning to do some blacksmithing at that time and needed an anvil, and she happened to have this one in her garage that belonged to her father, and I passed it along to me. It's one of my most cherished Christmas gifts that I ever received. One of the few Christmas gifts that I got as a child or a teenager in this case that I still have all these years later. But this one here I actually just brought down to the shop. It's another anvil. I actually bought this anvil in 1986, found it in a yard sale of all places, and got a really good deal on it. I'm not going to tell you how much I paid for it because it would probably hurt some people's feelings. But this is a 400-pound Fisher and Norris anvil. Very nice, high-quality anvil. It's in very good shape. The only apology is it's got one little chip here on the face, but the rest of it has pretty sharp corners for the most part. It's fairly flat. It really has not been beat up and abused. It's in very good shape. Fisher and Norris were major anvil manufacturers. This one here is kind of unusual. It's actually a cast anvil. You got a cast iron base with basically a welded on steel piece. So when you hammer on this one, you don't get that ringing sound like you get on a typical anvil, which a lot of people say, well, if it doesn't ring, it's a dead anvil, you don't want it. Well, Fisher and Norris is kind of the exception to the rule when it comes to that. And this one here, you got more of that. It kind of sounds thunk, thunk when you're hammering on it, when you're blacksmithing on it. But they are generally considered to be very high quality anvils, and they are still sought after, and particularly one this size. Like I said, 400 pounds. They made them bigger than this, but it's hard to find these great big anvils like this anymore. And I was very fortunate to pick this up. Like I said, moved it down to the shop here. I need to get me a stand where I can put it in here and have it where I can use it a little bit more. Just it was time. And I hadn't shown this before on video, and I knew a lot of guys are into anvils and blacksmithing tools. I used to do a lot of blacksmithing back when I was a teenager, and in my college years. I messed my shoulder up when I was in college, and really even now when I do a lot of hammering for a long period of time, I get a lot of pain in my shoulder. So I kind of gave up on the blacksmithing stuff probably 25, 30 years ago. But still got a lot of my blacksmith tools. I just can't let them go, and this anvil is one of them. So anyway, cool little anvil, nice to have. So another little shop improvement project that we've done over the Christmas break is I got this little bench put back here in the shop, and kind of see where I'm at. I'm in this little back corner, so kind of the opposite side from where I usually shoot my intros and stuff. My Monarch lathe that I'm restoring right now is right here. My Wells Index vertical mill is kind of right over here. And this was an area that's just kind of hasn't been utilized. And I've had this plan for some time, but I finally got it done. Got the bench built. I got a cabinet down here that fits in perfectly underneath it with some drawers. I got up on top here. These are all my little Hewitt boxes that I keep. Taps, drill bits, end mills, reamers, counterbores, silver dimming drills, metric stuff. All these cabinets have different tooling, nice and organized in them. Really love these Hewitt boxes, and they've kind of always been on the other side of the shop on my shelving over there, and usually when I need it over here, so I'm having to go back and forth. So this is all going to kind of be over here in one place. My taper shank drills are in this cabinet. I've just got a couple other toolboxes down here right now. I'm not exactly sure how I'm going to get all this organized. I am going to put a little riser here with a shelf and move these up so I have a little bit more bench space, kind of like I do on the other side, and probably put another shelf above it. And I'm going to be I got collet racks for collets and all that. So anyway, this is just kind of tooling and so forth. A lot of this is more lathe tooling over here, and then, like I said, drill bits, end mills, stuff like that. Going to have it right over here in this corner where it's a little bit more convenient for me. And anyway, I thought I'd show that real quick. This is we just constructed this out of wood. Got it in here. It gives me another horizontal surface to pile stuff up on, which you can't ever have too much of in a shop. So still a little bit of a work in progress, but coming along. Well, there you go. That's going to be a wrap on this episode of Odds and Ends, and this will probably be my last video for 2018. Now, I think tomorrow's New Year's Eve. This video will be posting. So we'll be starting a new year, 2019, and got lots of projects and stuff planned out already. Hopefully get started on, if not finished in this coming year, and hopefully be making plenty more videos for you guys as we go forward. Go check out NashvilleSteam.org about the steam locomotive up there. Pretty cool stuff if you're interested in that kind of thing. And I'm looking forward to getting up there and visiting them, hopefully this spring, and getting a chance to share some of that on video with you guys as well. That'll be a wrap. As always, thank you guys for watching, and please leave me comments, give me thumbs up, and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. We'll talk to you next time.